Hello and welcome to the Daily Grind here on Latte Firm. It is Thursday, the 24th of July. And what a 24 hours it's been. Just once can we have a day of regular Barclays transfer gossip. But no, the transfer gossip has exploded as Alexander Isak now wants a move away from Newcastle United. Might he go to Liverpool? Should we have gone in for him? Should we have rethought our transfer activity and gone for Alex Isak? Where is your head at? That's what we're going to find out. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome to the show. Please do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. It's the highest level of unlikes to likes that Latte Firm has ever seen. I think it's to do with Alex Isak and the description. But I'm pleased to be joined by Rory Talks Football. Rory, how are you, my man?
I'm very well, thank you. Pleasure to be on, as always.
It's great to have you on, man. We were just talking before we came on. It's probably the least liked video in terms of more unlikes than ever before, and I think that's just because people know what's to come. It's pretty bad news, I think, for Arsenal. So we're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about what we've learned from the AC Milan game. Of course, our first preseason friendly out in Singapore yesterday, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Didn't win on penalties, but let's not talk about that. And then we're going to talk about Christian Mosquera, who, of course, out of nowhere, has signed for Arsenal. So I want to get all your thoughts on that. And let's go straight to the chat. Just a couple of comments that have caught my eye tonight. Viggs was first in the house, says no to Isak, even if he wants to explore options other than Liverpool. We have to address left wing and attacking midfield. Left side is more of an issue right now. Plus, it's a disservice to Gyökeres discussing Isak. Well, look, we're going to talk about Isak. But we're not going to talk about Isak at Arsenal. What I do want to get is your thoughts on Isak to potentially Liverpool and how that might sway your thoughts, chat and Rory, in terms of what we've done this summer ourselves. DJ D10 says evening. I'm sure the title should be with the old umlauts on there. I wonder. Right, Rory, let's just get stuck into it.
Yes.
The news broke today. It wasn't quite the bomber that we all wanted. It was, of course, the news from David Ornstein that Alexander Isak is now exploring or wanting to explore a move away from Newcastle. He didn't actually go on to say what club. He mentioned Saudi, but obviously he wanted to explore options. How did that grab you?
A little unsurprisingly. I feel like this has been bubbling away this summer a little bit. Summer of discontent at Newcastle United. But it's just like, why now? Why time it now when we've basically just got Victor Gyökeres over the line? And I can now see a sense of this going a painful way where he does move this summer, but it's not to Arsenal. And it's one of those where I think no matter what business we do, there will be people that will be very frustrated if we don't get Isak, because, I mean, it was no secret to any of us that he was the number one target for, 18 months at the very least. So, I think we all accepted when we got Victor Gyökeres that Isak wasn't available. There's nothing you can do. You can take that. But if Liverpool swoop in with the business that they've already done and get him, then that'll leave people asking a few questions.
Yeah, and people have started asking questions already. Why did we sign Noni Madueke? Why are we wasting money on Victor Gyökeres? When this guy is available. I mean, look, the club weren't to know. We have been chasing this guy for, like you say, just shy of a couple of years. From various people on socials, I'm sure you follow the same guys I do. Apparently, Alex Isak has always been interested in a move to Arsenal. He wants to follow in the footsteps of his idol, Thierry Henry. But it does feel like the timing of this makes it very difficult for Arsenal to do. And of course, the way that Liverpool have been buying and selling, there is a lot of threat from them. And that's kind of where I want to go next. And, Fabrizio Romano sort of tweeting today, understand Alex Isak remains a target for Liverpool, even after signing Hugo Ekitike. But it does depend on Newcastle. If Newcastle can open the doors to an exit, and if Liverpool sell Diaz, they can bid after the direct contact that was made 10 days ago. Let's talk about what it means for Liverpool next. But first, could you see this happening, Rory? Could Liverpool go out and get this guy?
I don't think so. Like, rationally, I don't think so, even if they sell Diaz, because they're in a similar boat to us where their business isn't done. If they go and sign Isak, they desperately need a centre-back, more so than they need Isak, in my opinion. And they probably need a central defensive midfielder as well. And if you're talking about high-level players in those positions, you know, their window would be pushing like 400, 450 million, which is just not only unheard of for Liverpool, but unheard of in the Premier League. So, yeah, I would be shocked. I would be absolutely shocked if they did manage to pull it off. And that's where I'm kind of sat with us as well, is that actually it's very easy to sit there after the fact and say, oh, we should have waited and we shouldn't have done any of our business because Isak has become available. We could never have predicted he was going to become available. And would it actually have been best for the squad if we had spent the vast majority of our budget on him this summer and we'd ignored the depth issues that we definitely had? And I'm not sure it would have done. So, look, it might ultimately have been the sort of deal that we could never have gotten done. And if we had tried to gamble and wait, we could be sat here now with preseason already underway with only Zubimendi under the belt. So, yeah, it's one of those. I don't think you can really look back and question the way that we've gone about it.
Yeah, we'll take a look at our window on the next slide. But I guess for me, immediately, obviously, you know, alarm bells start ringing. If Liverpool, you know, who've obviously got off to a really flying start this window, they lost Trent, they've replaced him with Frimpong. Robertson's been on his way out for some time, you know, the wrong end of his career, and they've gone out and got Kirkesh, who had a brilliant season last year. You know, Florian Wirtz, it doesn't matter how much you sort of gloss up how much they paid for him. He's a top player. He's going to have a real positive impact on them. And Hugo Ekitike, for all the criticism, I mean, look, you know, 23 years old, and he scored 25 goals in top flight football in his career. But physical attributes that people talk about, the potential that this guy has, and he's coming in to take the place you would assume of Darwin Nunez, who's been sort of, you know, hit and miss up top. So they've really done some good business. Now, some would argue that, look, defensively, beyond Kanate and Van Dijk, a little bit short. Let's talk about Guehi, of course, of Crystal Palace. Central midfield wise, you know, Gravenberch, if he pings something or goes missing for long stretches, is it Endo? Is that really it? And obviously they're stacked with forwards. Now, Luis Diaz is on the transfer market. Based on what you read on socials, they might get some sort of crazy 60-70 million pound fee. Darwin Nunez might also follow him out of the door. And then all of a sudden, Liverpool have stacked up 100 million quid, which means, you know, green light to Newcastle. So I got to be honest, it does send some shivers down my spine because, you know, Liverpool are obviously champions. They're stacked with forwards, and, you know, going forward for them last season was you know, just so easy for them because they've got so many options. And if they were to get Ekitike and Isak, that could mean trouble for us. Any thoughts on Isak maybe going to Saudi, because Al Hilal are sort of lurking in the background?
Yeah, I think, well, look, I think him going to Saudi would be the dream for pretty much everyone. If, you know, Newcastle's perspective, losing him to Saudi, you probably get the most money that way, and you don't sell him to a Premier League rival. And for us, again, if we're not going to get him, then at least, you know, if he goes to Saudi, it's almost out of sight, out of mind, and we don't have to be reminded of our failings week in, week out in the Premier League. So, yeah, that would be the dream. Again, if he goes to Liverpool as well, you know, would Liverpool spend 95 million euros on Ekitike to effectively commit to him being a winger or a backup for his Liverpool career? Was that the plan when they moved for Ekitike, that he was never going to be the striker? I'm not sure they'd spend that, because they could have gone and got, you know, they could have used that money for an actual left winger if they were going to do that. So, yeah, I don't think, I don't know. I get the feeling Isak wasn't part of Liverpool's plan, and maybe they do something crazy, but I don't think they will.
Colleen, welcome to the show, says, feels a little late for Isak to request to leave, considering the expenditure from Arsenal and Liverpool this summer, of course. I wonder if there's more to it. Other clubs or better terms with Newcastle United, of course. You know, he wants a new contract. He's on £120,000 a week. They, of course, won the Carabobbins Cup. And, of course, they didn't qualify for the Champions League. So, did they? Didn't they?
Newcastle are in the Champions League, yeah.
Are they? Well, there you go. They qualified for the Champions League. So, but they've not been able to do much activity in the transfer window this summer.
I was trying to work out why they've waited until now, because it seems like such a weird time when arguably the two clubs that could probably go for him have done business. And I do wonder if it is the lack of business Newcastle have done that's got him itching to move away. You know, I feel like if they'd really reinforced that team, he maybe thinks, you know, maybe we could have a good Champions League run. But yeah, the timing of it is a bit odd.
It is. So the question that I want to ask you, and to the hundreds of people watching now live on YouTube, please do like the video. It's a massive help to the channel. And of course, subscribe if you're new. Let's take it left to right. The window that we've done so far, Rory, you've seen these before. Kepa, obviously looking bright. Yesterday, we'll talk about him. Zubimendi, Martin Norgard, Christian Norgard, sorry. Noni Madueke, Victor Gyökeres, who apparently is in London, has been to Colney, in and out today, and flies off to Singapore tomorrow. And Christian Mosquera, who we'll end the show with. Those 6, I think we've agreed in the past, they were 6 important squad roles to fill. We've been chasing a striker. Hopefully, Victor Gyökeres, we get him over the line. We needed depth at the back. Christian Mosquera comes in. Noni Madueke, cover for Saka, potentially can play out on the left-hand side. Partey and Jorginho and El Neni to an extent have gone. Norgard has come in. Zubimendi, absolutely superb. And Kepa, a backup goalkeeper. We know that Mikel Arteta has messed about with reserve goalkeepers, lone goalkeepers in the past. If we were to add Eze, because there's lots of talk about Eze and Arsenal are interested in him, Arteta is obsessed with him. When I look at everything else apart from the Arne Slot picture on the right-hand side, that is a almost 10 out of 10 window. Like, I couldn't have asked for more. But then when you think about what Liverpool could do, and I stress could, and I don't want to sort of, I'm not here to scaremonger. The channel's not like that. Those of you that have been watching for a long time know that, but it's an important topic. I want to talk about it. The standard setters are Liverpool. They are the current Premier League champions. And football is a competitive sport. And you can say on the one hand that we've got a 10 out of 10 window by signing those players because they address squad needs. They do improve the first team and they give us depth, which is something that we needed. And actually, some of the players are very different to the profile of player that we got in the squad. But if your biggest competitor, the current reigning champions, go out and they make a marquee signing in Alex Isak, does that sway your thinking of our window? Does that maybe make the window, instead of a 10 out of 10, is it like 3 steps forward and sort of 4 steps back?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because you look at that 6, and I do think that's a really good 6. You add Eze or a left winger on top of it. Yeah, that for me, that is a 9 or a 10 window. It is an interesting question. Does that change when you look at their window? I would say probably not, because if I look at it and I say, well, okay, but do I bring down the window because Liverpool signed Isak, because we wanted to sign Isak? But then I look at the players that we brought in. You say, okay, well, if we were to bring in Isak instead, it's not just, bringing in Isak instead of Victor Gyökeres. It's bringing in Isak instead of Victor Gyökeres and Madueke and probably Eze, if you're looking at the numbers involved. And suddenly I'd look at that window and go, Isak, Mosquera, Norgard, Zubimendi, Kepa. That's still not a 10 out of 10 window, because I think that still then leaves you with gaps. Then you're relying on Saka to stay fit all season. You haven't bought in a left winger either. So, in a roundabout way, I don't think there's any way to get the absolute 10 out of 10, I suppose. But as long as we go and get Eze or a left winger, I'll be very, very happy with what we've done. And if Liverpool trump that, then fair play to them. But there's only so much we can do.
There is only so much we can do. I completely understand that. I recognize that. But I tweeted about this earlier. If we were to get Eze and add him to those 6 players that we're on the verge of announcing, all 6, for me, that is a 9.5, 10 out of 10 window. I guess the only thing that's lacking is a marquee signing. I mean, Eze is a fantastic player. Zubimendi's a fantastic player, but he's, none of neither of those two are like your Mesut Ozil, your Alexis Sanchez sort of marquee level, Declan Rice type sort of status. And so I find it really annoying, really galling that if Liverpool were to go out and get Isak as well as Ekitike, and they've addressed the 2 fullback positions and Florian Wirtz, it just leaves a real bitter pill in my mouth. Call it what it is. Envious.
Yeah.
I'm envious. I want Alex Isak at Arsenal. I would have been so happy with him at any point over the last couple of years. And I just find it a little bit unsettling that they could close on him. So a little bit nervous. I mean, the chat are very active. If he were to go, Rory, does that make Liverpool absolute clear favourites for next season?
Yeah. It would still depend on the rest of the business they do, because I still feel like if they did that at the sacrifice of bolstering at centre back and central defensive midfield, then I still think they're going into next season gambling. And I feel like that's one thing that we're not really gambling on any one particular person staying fit this next season at this point. Whereas I look at that and I go, one injury to Van Dijk, and they've got Konate and Joe Gomez, who are both injury prone themselves, twice a week, every week. So yeah, all right. If they all stay fit again like they did last season, then yeah, absolutely favourites. But they wouldn't have they still wouldn't have the perfect squad. I think they're favourites anyway. Having won the league and bolstered where they have, I think they're favourites naturally, but not clear favourites.
Simon, welcome to the show. Says 10 is when you have a better window than your competitors. It's not complicated. I think you're right, Simon. This is the point that I've been trying to make on socials today in the group chats. Like, a few people sort of saying, like, put yourself together. If we were to get those 6 signings plus Eze, we've addressed so many needs in the squad. But then part of me just thinks, well, hang on, the benchmark is set by the champions who are going out and doing some amazing things. And actually, you might have improved your squad and you might have, addressed all the needs that you've had, but you've not really closed the gap on your competitor. Vig says, get Eze, sell Martinelli, get funds for that marquee left wing. I'm not sure that's going to happen. D-Day Spring says, FK, this window's been great and will be perfect when we sign Eze. I'm okay with Liverpool transfers. It's going to be a test for our own players. I doubt if Isak wants Arsenal. Gyökeres is ours, of course. Good news, Aquawo says, I completely agree with Rory. Isak comes with a huge price. We get him, and realistically, we don't fill other positions in the team. And that's a really salient point. And Leadacy says, add Eze and extend Saka and Saliba. Of course, those two are on the cards. I reckon we're going to get an Ornstein, Bomba and Saliba at some point very soon. That's a 10 out of 10 window, or close as you can get. Hands down, our best. Need to sell on top too. Look, let's end it on a positive in terms of the window before we focus on yesterday's game and look at Christian Mosquera. Mikel Arteta and Andrea Berta have worked really hard this summer in terms of trying to address some big needs in our squad. If Viktor Gyökeres follows tomorrow, you can't ask for more than that, Rory. Like, if Isak had have come out with this at the start of the window and we showed no interest, then I'd be sort of sat here a little bit upset. But this has come at the worst possible timing for us because we've got most of our business done.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, get Saka and Saliba over the line as well. That's another part of Liverpool's window. They've still got Konate, who they can't get to sign a new contract. So he's got 1 year left. We're not in that position with any of our big players either. So yeah, it's not. I think it's easy to look at what they're doing and be envious, but it's no one's got it perfect.
They haven't. Easdan says, don't stress. That team that wins the window doesn't necessarily win the league. A good point, well made. Right, let's talk about yesterday. Preseason has started, Rory. A win for Arsenal, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Bukayo Saka back on the score sheet, eh? Starboy. How did that make you feel just to see some football back again?
It was good. It was good. I missed it. Yeah,
you missed. You missed football, not the game.
I missed football. Yeah, no, I didn't miss the game. No, it'd been long enough. This summer had gone on long enough. So they're happy to be back and happy to see a lot of players that we'd kind of missed at the end of last season with injuries as well.
Yeah, indeed. The squad is beginning to look a little bit, more sort of beefed up. The subs bench looked particularly strong yesterday. We did, of course, win a trophy, the Festival of Football in Singapore. Can't not talk about that. But Hale End prospects. Max Down, of course, catching all the headlines, but Marley Salmon played really well. Josh Nichols as well, who's been part of the squad throughout the season last year. I mean, these kids, they're so young, and Hale End just seem to be churning them out. What did you make of Max Dowman yesterday, and any other youngsters that sort of caught your eye?
Yeah. Obviously, Max Dowman caught the headlines, and rightly so, because he just looks absolutely obscene for his age. Just the composure, the carefree nature of the way that he played, but also the fact that he was dancing around players in the same way that we've seen him do at under 18 and 21s. I think that was the big thing. Does it translate to senior football? And the answer to that seemingly yesterday was yes, it does. So that is very, very exciting. And I think we'll see a lot more of him this season than people perhaps would assume a 15-year-old would get. And I think it will be. Yeah, I think we will. Yeah. And I think.
I mean, how much Premier League game time do you think he might get?
Premier League, unsure, but it wouldn't surprise me if he starts getting 10, 15 minutes here and there.
As a
depending on injuries
15-year-old
and
kid.
stuff. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me
Wow.
at all. And I think we'll see him in some cup games as well. I think primarily, though, despite the fact that he is a midfielder, I think much like Waneri last season, we'll see him more off the right if he does get used, just because that's kind of a safer way to bring him in. But yeah, I think we will. And the other two as well, Josh Nichols, I feel like his size is the only slight concern that you have as a defender when you look at the rest of our defenders. But technically, he's brilliant. Seems to really read the game well. He's the sort of player that, truthfully, with how stacked we are, he's 18 at this point. With how stacked we are defensively, this is an example of where I want to see Arsenal be much better at developing him ultimately to be sold and to make a profit. And that sounds like a very harsh and horrible way to look at it. But to compete, even in the transfer market, with the likes of Chelsea and City, you've got to look at the way that they are able to raise funds like that. And he is very, very capable of being a Premier League level player. So we need to make sure that we get the fee that reflects that. And then, Mali Salmon, for a 15-year-old to play at centre-back is a whole different ballgame. And despite the fact he looks very young, his reading of the game was excellent. And some of his passing range as well. Sprayed that 60-yard ball over to, I think it was Reece Nelson on the end of it. So yeah, just a very, very impressive outing for all of them.
Yeah, Salmon looks very, very encouraging. But of course, Max Dowman is someone that we've been following for a long time on socials. The kid, the boy has such an amazing touch on him, and his close control, and his sort of, he's so nimble, and the way his body's sort of balanced, like he glides with the ball. He's so exciting. And of course, 15, or he's got so much growing to do physically, mentally. The guy's gonna, put on some muscle. He's gonna get stronger. I'm not sure he's going to get much game time in the Premier League, but certainly in the cup competitions, maybe at the latter stages of the Champions League table, sort of, he might make an appearance or two. Who knows? But very, very exciting. And what Per is doing at the academy is absolutely fantastic. By the way, those of you that are tuning in for the first time, check out the channel feed. I did a feature on the Hale End Academy, the Hale End Secrets, with Art de Roche of The Athletic. It was a really, really good feature into how they make these young boys into top stars for Arsenal. A couple more comments. Ife says, signings don't guarantee anything. Why is our fan base always so easily stressed? He's having a yawn as well. I'm not stressed. I'm just, you got to talk about it, right? The news is broken today. Your rivals, your big rivals, the one team that you're trying to chase could go out and get the best centre forward in the Premier League. And that's big news. Practica says Liverpool won't make the top four. Salah and Virgil van Dijk will break down, and Ekitike is going to flop.
Some wishful thinking.
That is wishful thinking. Luke says if we win the title after Liverpool's window, then it's in an Invincibles level achievement. Yeah, let's wait and see. So look, the youngsters had a really good reflection yesterday. These two are absolutely cooking. Let's talk about Martin Zubimendi. Brought him in as our metronome. Has finally joined. What an appearance yesterday. Rory, just eulogize about this guy.
Yeah, honestly, I think we knew what we'd brought him in to do. I think it was very clear, even from the way that he was announced and the way that Arteta and Berta spoke about him, even the video about rhythm, we understood what he was coming in for. But I think probably the biggest question was whether he'd be able to handle the physicality maybe of the Premier League. And AC Milan perhaps don't have the physicality, but I think that was certainly in the watch along that I was doing. People were taken aback a little bit by actually how easily he dealt with it and how physical he looked. And he's bigger than people, I think, assumed. And then on the ball, I mean, it's so quick. It's just the tempo never seems to slow down. It's just one touch out of his feet. And I think Arsenal uploaded a video of his sort of highlights today. And the very first clip, he receives the ball and he does at no point does he actually physically look to his right, but he plays it off to his left and he apologizes to someone on his right. And I looked and I was like, he's not at any point actually looked up and seen him. And he still knows he's missed a pass that would have been better to his right. And even though the pass he played was perfectly fine, I feel like, I think it's going to be very exciting to watch him play. And I think it's going to make a big difference to our ability to break teams down.
Donald says in 45 minutes, Zubimendi only passed back twice. He just pushes that ball forward time and time again. And look, I've said it a few times now, he can play with both feet and he can go long, go short, he can go high, go low. He can play quick passes to you, short passes to you. The control of his passing is sensational. This guy, a lot of people are already talking about him being potentially the best signing of the summer, excluding the news that we've talked about today. But he could be the best signing. And I also, Rory, look at him as someone who's going to just give us that balance on that left-hand side as well. Like over the last year and a half, we've seen Arsenal just play the ball down the right-hand side so often. And without Saka and without White, we've really sort of struggled. We've not really unleashed Martinelli on that left-hand side properly. So Zubimendi, for me, that quick release ball that Xhaka used to do down the left, I think is going to be phenomenal. Talking about Benjamin William White, he is back. I mean, I was so happy to see him in the lineup. And what a performance. I mean, the guy looks like he's not been away. I'm just so happy to see him behind Bukayo Saka, and Ødegaard, of course, coming on in the second half. That trio on the right-hand side. Oh, it's good to be back, baby.
Yeah. Honestly, I think last season, in the end, I think both before he had the surgery and even after he came back, it was him and Timber were just hobbling through as much as they could, rotating between each other, almost taking it a game each at a time. But yeah, yesterday he looked so much, or the day before, he looked so much fitter, fresher. And the difference it makes to Bukayo Saka, I think it's probably the thing that is underestimated is the constant back and forth running in which he's providing an overlap or an underlap for Saka. It at least takes one defender away and gives Saka that extra yard. And you see it gives Saka the freedom to move inside and take it to the byline himself. So yeah, so good to see him back. The fact that we've got both him and Timber right back, and we've got the ability to play both of them, and even defensively as well. I thought really he handled Rafa Leao pretty well throughout the game. So yeah, very, very happy to see him back.
Just on the Juri and Timber sort of I guess comparison, if both are fully fit, Rory, who's your starting right back? I'm going to put a poll out to the viewers on YouTube now as well, actually.
It's actually such a tough one. I really think it depends on the opposition. I think if I really want to lock down one of the best left wingers in the world, I'm probably going Timber. Because 1v1 defending, I think Timber is still better. But if it's a game where I want to pin the opposition back, I'm probably going Ben White.
Well, I've asked the question, if both are fit and you're playing a cup final, who are you starting to right back tomorrow? It's so hard.
It's actually so hard.
It's so hard.
I feel like my head says Timber purely because that's the conservative way, and that's how you don't lose the final. But then my heart says Ben White, so
because that's how you win the final.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard. Do you know what? People are convinced that Timber is the guy. I know, look, Viggs is saying depends on the game. White works well against low blocks, and that is what we suffered with last season, which is absolutely true. It's great that Arteta is finally building a squad where we have a couple of players in each position that's going to give competition and going to give depth. So I just hope both of them stay fit throughout the rest of the season. Before I go to the results of the poll, a very generous super chat from Harry Singh. Harry, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate the generosity. It's a massive help to the channel, man. Just says hello from Sydney. G'day to you, my man. Love Latte firm. Keep up the good old workers, mate. Thank you, Harry. Really appreciate it. Have yourself a fabulous day, and thank you again for your generosity. It goes a long way. And I appreciate you watching. If I end the poll with the viewers on YouTube right now, the results are in, Rory, and I can tell you now. So the question again, if both are fit, Ben White or Jurrien Timber, and we're playing a cup final tomorrow, who are you starting at right back? 64% of votes have gone to Jurrien Timber.
I'm not surprised.
Wow. Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. They're both absolutely sensational players, to be fair, but it's... I don't want to pick one or the other. Jonathan Kay says Timber is a beast, fully fit. He's amazing. Dave, who is Guna73, says depends on who we're playing. Of course, Timber is defensive. White is attacking. I did notice that yesterday, actually, Rory, just in terms of attacking play. Obviously, Ben White was getting involved. Those buccaneering sort of overlapping runs, fantastic familiarity down that right hand side. We were shooting a lot more. Just randomly. I think we had more than like 20 shots on goal yesterday, which is insane. Like 9, 10 on target, 10 corners. but we were shooting from outside the box. We were shooting on sight. I wonder if that's a deliberate ploy from Mikel Arteta, or is it now that the squad have added Madueke and potentially talking about Eze, and the boys are finally thinking, shit, we've got to start shooting now.
Yeah, I hope it's a tactical thing. I've said for the longest time that I wish we would just take more shots, because especially when you look at how good we are from corners. I know we didn't actually score one yesterday, but I used to think, what's the worst that can happen? It could go in, it could deflect in, it could deflect for a corner. Worst case, it gets blocked and you go again. It's I do get frustrated when we find ourselves just knocking the ball around, and maybe eventually you get to the corner of the box and you put a cross in. So yeah, now what we need to do is work on the number of players that we've got in and around the edge of the box that have got the best shooting ability. But no, it's good to see.
Yeah, it is really good to see. Dan Smith, where have you been? Says, I'm late. Going to have to go back to the beginning. This was a late scheduled show, to be fair, but do turn on your notifications and subscribe. Those of you that are watching and those of you that are new. Let's end on a positive, Rory, and that is that Christian Mosquera has finally signed for Arsenal Football Club. Number 3. What do you make of that?
Yeah, interesting. I guess it was available with Tierney leaving.
Feels like Tierney only left like last week.
I know.
It's a bit cold.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. No, it's good though. I think it's good. It's I was interested really as to if the plan for him this season was just to kind of bed him in and let him develop a bit without really exposing him too much to the to any starting 11s or anything, or whether we'll actually use him much. And based on what they've said, I think that there is a real sort of high expectation of what we've got here, and heard a few things about the level that they think he could get to, and that it's an absolute steal, the price that we've got him for. Because I think Berta even wanted him at Atletico last summer, and they were quoted about double the price that we ended up getting for. So yeah, very exciting. And both Berta and Arteta referenced his versatility to play either side of centre back as well. So another centre back that we could see deployed at fullback.
Yeah, well, that's a nice segue into his sort of position map, courtesy of Optra Analysts from last season, those that you guys can see on screen. 37% of his game time from the last couple of seasons. Sorry, correct me. Forgive me for the correction. 37% of his games playing at left centre back, 48% of his games playing at right centre back. Also had a stint out at right back, which is good to see. Look, he's a young defender. He's described as being the best one-on-one defender in La Liga, and of players under 21, Rory, he scooped up the most number of minutes, most number of games played across Europe's top 5 leagues. So ever present, physically fit. If you watch the Arsenal interview that he did, he describes himself as speed, energy, and hunger, or something, are his sort of 3 strengths that he's looking at. So if you look at the sort of heat maps that have come out of Valencia over the last couple of years, he likes to play quite high up the pitch. His recovery pace is something else. So I'm really excited. He's got all the minerals, like you say, and it's a young defender. We were linked with Dean Howson at the start of the window. Who else have we been linked with? There was another defender, wasn't there?
We've been linked to Hato a fair bit previously.
Yeah, of course, Jarell Hato. So, I mean, the club were serious about adding someone. Of course, Takahiro Tomiyasu, his contract was mutually terminated. But Viggs is echoing what you said, £13 million. That's got to be a steal of the summer. It's not much money for a young player, like you say, and I guess it might free up money for someone else. Guna73 is saying, hilarious that a fan announced him. Of course, there was a photo of him walking along in a supermarket today in Singapore with some of the Spanish boys. That's another important thing, actually. The fact that he's going to settle in and acclimatise, and believe it or not, he's 2 of his favourite players at Arsenal ever, Mikel Arteta and Cesc Fabregas. I wonder if that's just a little bit of teacher's pet going on there. But in terms of settling in, he's got the Spanish contingent. Arteta's obviously a Spanish-speaking manager. Gabby Heinze, of course, now part of the coaching setup. I'm expecting big things from this boy.
Yeah, me too. One of the things I love about him is the mentality as well. I can't remember who it was now, but there was another offer on the table for him this summer that Valencia actually wanted to take, because I think another club had offered him more. Might have been one of the Bundesliga teams, at Dortmund or something. But he just said, "No, I want Arsenal. Arsenal's where I'm going." And when you think as a centre back, looking at a team that probably has a better selection of centre backs than any other team on the planet right now, to look at that team and go, no, that's where I'm going to go and play, and I'm going to find a way into the first team. I think that's a an unbelievable mentality to have. And like you say, you look at him physically, he's got it. Like, there's no doubt about it. So now it's just about developing his on the ball game, I think. And there's probably no better place to learn that than at Arsenal.
Let's hope so. And and training with the likes of Saliba and Gabriel. The boy's going to learn. He's going to learn fast. Right, I think we're going to wrap it up there. So Alex Isak wants to move from Newcastle. I wonder how that story is going to end over the next few weeks. If it ends at all, it might just end up in a new contract at Newcastle. Arsenal, of course, victorious away in Singapore against AC Milan. Our next friendly coming up this weekend. It's going to be a bit of a spice to that one. So we'll look forward to that tomorrow in the late night lounge, because it's Friday night, of course. And of course, Christian Mosquera, now an Arsenal player. Hopefully tomorrow, Victor Gyökeres will follow suit, but we shall see. If anybody wants to follow Rory on socials, he is at Rory Talks Football. Rory, got anything exciting coming up on your channels?
Just daily content at the moment, which is good for me. Not normally that consistent. So yeah, videos and streams. Normally stream at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So
good. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of the window. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate you giving up your generosity. And thanks also, Harry, for your donation to the channel. Drop a like before you go, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.